worth of over $11 billion per Forbes after creating the company with Arthur Blank in 1978 and had the support of investor Ken Langone, a longtime donor to the Republican National Committee, according to federal election records. Marcus was an early supporter of former President Donald Trump. He and his wife, Billy, who founded the Marcus Foundation, have given more than $2 million to various causes.
Fox's CJ Papa. Bernie Marcus was 95. Wall Street stocks rallying as voters head to the polls. The Dow gained 427. The Nasdaq added 259. The S&P plus 70. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
America decides. America votes. America goes to the polling places. But on WSIC News, we just say, America. Welcome to WSIC News and our election night coverage on WSIC. Great to be with everyone. We have our crack panel of election experts here. We've got...
Did he say crack?
No. Crack experts. Absolutely. We got Representative Jeff McNeely, former Representative Jason Saine, Senator Vickie Sawyer, all personalities that you know from WSIC. Now, Vickie, you're a little outnumbered here. There's 2 House members, 1 former, 1 current. But you did always tell me that it takes 2 good House members to make a good Senate member.
Yes, and actually, I actually measure in quality, not quantity.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
I mean, shots fired at the beginning of the
things to say here, but I'm just going to be quiet.
I just don't want to go there right off the get-go. I want to save a little bit.
No, exactly. Don't shoot both barrels right as we start.
So, David, we do have something in the studio right here. We've talked about it for a while.
We did.
Tonight is either going to be cracking a bottle of bubbly champagne or drowning our sorrows in a bottle of bourbon.
Or it could be both, depending on how we're feeling, right? But yes, tonight is going to be.
Feels like a night at Coyote Joe's. I don't know. Maybe.
It really does, and I just want to acknowledge right now.
Sound like some wicked burps.
I want to acknowledge to all of our listeners right now that
all
I
five
have
of them?
exactly. I have the toughest job tonight because I have to mediate 3 politicians trying to compete for airtime. So I just want to know I've got the toughest job here tonight.
There's friends that come in too. Like we got more politicians.
Yes, we are going to have multiple friends.
Can y'all pump some oxygen in here? We're going to need
it. I'm already feeling a little lightheaded, to be fair with you. But no, it is exciting to be with everyone tonight. Exciting, and presidential election.
Yes.
Always exciting. Always something that people come out for. In Iredell County, I think we were over 58% in early voting. So it's going to be interesting to see how the remainder of the turnout is. But as we get started, we're going to start out upfront and honest, right before any returns are posted. The polls are not closed yet. Close at 7:30. Just a reminder to our listeners: if you are in line and 7:30 hits, you are still able to vote.
Correct.
So do not.
And if you're in Durham, you get extra hours.
Exactly. If you're in Durham, you can vote for the next 3 days.
They never set their clock back.
They never do. They never do. But let's get started. Early predictions.
Well, wait a minute. We got to also acknowledge about some other things.
Why are you stepping all over me? We're not even 2 minutes in and you're already stepping all over me.
No, she's just trying to cover, make sure nobody gets in trouble at the studio.
Okay,
Correct.
That's fair.
Correct. Yes, because the studio folks says that if you look and you're watching us online, we do have some adult beverages around the table, and they said that you're allowed to consume them as long as you disclose that you're that. The perfect sound effect.
Which I still think is going to be the best show ever. Honestly, it's going to be phenomenal.
We're not saying that. Other people are saying that.
Well, they are. I talked to them today. I talked to most of them.
Exactly.
Because that's what I do. I talk to them, and they said, the best show ever. The best election show you've ever heard tonight.
No fake news here. None at all. But yes.
But we do have, for FCC rules, we do have to disclose that if we are going to have a drink of adult beverage,
yes,
that we can do that. But we also have to disclose that we are doing it on the radio.
Yes.
Seems oddly antiquated, but we'll go with it.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, others just use a solo cup.
Well, and Lord knows you politicians never pass rules.
There's soda water in here. I love soda water.
Or Diet Sundrop.
Or Diet Sundrop.
I just need some caffeine, y'all. I'm about to die.
Jeff McNeely out working hard at the polls today.
I'm running out of caffeine and pork grease.
So were you at the polls today?
Heck yeah. Got up early, was up there and at the Central Fire Department at 6:30 on the money, eating a ham biscuit, trying to get as much grease in me as I could. That's what keeps you rolling. And then ended up over at Statesville 6
Yeah.
talking about the difference of two worlds.
Yeah.
I was there.
So remember, Central is by Love Valley. It's a community that you and I both represent and adore heavily. I mean, love Valley, right?
Yep.
But they
Those
are
are people's.
very independently minded. And then you went to Statesville District 6, which is
You know, it's
in Cochran. That's the Cochran back. Yeah.
Good, bad, and different. Call it South Statesville.
Yeah. And it is a whole different world,
Yep.
right? It really is.
I thought we were slaughtering them till about 11 o'clock after I left Central and went to South Station. Now I think it's going to be pretty tight.
Yeah.
Are you thinking are you in a dog fight over there, Jeff?
I don't know, but everybody was there. My two competitors or competitor and a half or whatever it was. We were all in the same parking lot with the 3 dog collars and 20 foot of chain.
So you were there with the Democrat and the write-in.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I had them all.
Hey, you have not lived though until you have worked a poll as a Republican in the town of Davidson, North Carolina.
Oh, I bet that's fun. They
Oh,
seem to be
it's
very accepting people
joyful.
there.
They love me. They love me.
People at Station 6 are good as gold.
Yeah,
Everybody
they
come
are.
through,
They
good as
are.
gold. Good as
Yeah.
gold. Didn't matter whether you was red, blue, RD, good as gold. Everybody
Aren't
was
all
nice.
voters really great people? Until they punch you. But that's another story.
You know, I had a whole show outline here, and you've already just all taken it off the
Oh, no, we'll get back to it.
Okay, all right. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
they know-
Well, no, let's do all the things you wanted it.
I want my
Right,
money.
Y'all are the elected officials. I will defer.
I
will
mean,
defer.
I'm surprised that you're shocked.
I
I'm
want my
not.
money. Robinson and Stein are tied. I want my money, Coble.
Well, it's 0-0. so
They are
that's-
tied. They are technically tied right
They
now.
are
my money.
technically tied
You're
right
10
now.
down.
Well, I think we should give the listener audience an idea about when we can see elections because it did change. It was something that we did at the General Assembly. Usually on election night at 7:30, you would have the early voting tabulated already, but because there was a little bit of ideas of maybe some cheating going on, where the Board of Elections would know the early voting totals before the day of election. we
Not in
actually-
Iredell County, by the way. We don't
Not
roll
in
that
our-
way in Iredell County.
Not in Iredell County.
No.
But because of the idea that certain communities, counties, would actually get the early voting total and know that before the day of election, we changed the law, which we're getting like kind of beat up on a little bit right now because, you know, reporters don't like it. They want us to have the early vote totals at 7:30 because they were used to it. But it really is an election integrity protection idea to make sure
It is.
that we don't start counting votes until after the votes are closed,
It's
right?
the Panhandle of Florida effect, right? I mean, just making sure that we're not giving it away before and influencing people who have not voted yet, right? I mean, from a state perspective, we can do whatever we want to here because we took over the studio. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that the producers over there taped to the thing. He can't cut us off. He just can turn us up.
Exactly.
Right? So,
which is if there's anything this group needs is more volume. Let's be fair.
actually, it goes to 11.
11. I was getting ready to say, I seen the dial. I was like, okay.
But we tied up Joe. But to be fair, so that
Right.
folks don't make some assumptions. They go, well, it's over. I'm going to stay at home. Shouldn't go. You should go and vote.
Right.
You have, according to my watch, you've got about, I'm not really good at math.
18
That's why they
minutes.
made me the appropriations chairman. 18 minutes. 18 minutes. It's just someone whispered in my ear, or it could have been Jeff McNeely. Happens a lot.
Yeah.
But 18 minutes to go vote. I mean, surely to God you live close to your precinct voting location. Oh, maybe you don't. But go. If you have not voted, please go. I don't care how you
Absolutely.
vote. Go vote.
Yeah.
Go vote.
Absolutely.
And informed vote. But go vote.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And then we do have a couple guests in the studio I think we should absolutely say hello to. We have Preston Cornelius here, who's to your left. He's our-
Cornelius.
Our crack research
We're in
staff,
Cornelius. Preston Curtis.
Preston Curtis. We're
When you texted me that, I said, Preston's getting
I
on
did.
up there.
I did. Preston, forgive me. Preston Curtis.
Hey, great judge.
Not
great
from
judge. Good job.
Cornelius. Yeah, not from Cornelius.
I thought that
It
was
is.
odd. I was right there and went,
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And then we also have the mayor of Mooresville, Chris Carney here. Mayor Carney's
mayor's
in
here.
the house. We are going to have several guests who come in and out of the studio, but they'll come in and we'll also have them call in. And thank you for your votes and support for today.
absolutely 100%. So, like, as we get going now, back to my script that I worked diligently on the write-up.
I've
here.
heard of this script.
Yes, you've heard of this script. Predictions. Now, we promised our listeners we would get predictions in before the polls closed. So, Jeff McNeely, I'm going to start with you. All right.
All right.
So, for president, who's carrying North Carolina?
Donald Trump.
By how much?
I'm thinking 3.
3. Okay, there you go. I like that. I like that number. How about governor?
Governor, I'm still playing the long game. I'm still playing the long
You're
game.
the true believer.
No, I'm thinking Josh Stein's probably going to take Robinson, but it ain't going to be the whooping y'all thought. I'm thinking it's 6 or 7. I'll say 7 at worst.
Okay.
At worst.
I was thinking 7.
drinking the thing. Can we gamble?
Yes. I
As
think
long as we
can.
disclose it
You
on the
want
air.
some of that?
I want some of that.
Oh God.
But I'm not for gambling.
We do have a wheel. You can't spin the wheel.
I'm for winning.
So, Lieutenant
So-
Governor, Hal Weatherman going to pull it out?
Yeah, I think he will, but that's going to be one of the closest races.
I agree.
I mean, I really do. I think that one, and then I think you're going to go down there and you're going to probably look at either the auditor or
Attorney General.
Or the Attorney General is going to be close, and maybe I don't know. Trying to say what else I think. Let me get back to you on that because there's about 4 races. I think the superintendent's race is going to be tight for public instruction too. Well, I could be wrong.
All right. Jason Saine, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, this is the point when you say things that you don't know because we're all just guessing anyway.
Right.
We can read what we can read out of the early voting, right? So Republicans are very strong in early voting. Never before seen, turnout like we've seen. The question is, did we cannibalize as Republicans? Did we cannibalize all our votes just early? And then when news shows up, I tend to think that's not the case. Given what I saw at the precincts earlier today, I was out with Pat Harrigan, and our state party chairman, Jason Simmons, was out there. The 10th District chairwoman, Linda Petro, was there. So we had a good crowd there. We were watching these folks just still spill in this morning at a precinct that normally votes later in the afternoon. So I still think the excitement's there. There's things you can read from the numbers. We will see once we get those early numbers come in on early voting. You will then see trends. And Jeff and I on his show said that if you look at that superintendent's race, I think we're going to see a lot. When we look at that, we're going to say, hey, there's a trend here because it's really a race of unknowns, right? You got Mo Green, who we know because we're in politics, and we've got Michelle Morrow, who Vickie and I know because we've gotten so many great fan tweets.
Yes. She's been just lovely towards us.
Oh my gosh, it's been
She
phenomenal.
loves me.
And,
Well,
Who doesn't? Jeff?
she generally
Who doesn't?
gravitates towards delusional.
here's the conundrum for every candidate on the ballot that's an anti-establishment candidate.
Yeah.
If they win tonight, you know what they are?
Yes.
Established.
Established.
Oh my God!
I know.
Then what do you do?
They're my picks. That's what they are.
But then what do you do? But I think if you look at that race, when we start to see those numbers in that race, I think we'll see a trend in North Carolina, which I think will actually help us predict the Attorney General's race. I do think the governor's race is gone, but I agree with you. I think Hal Weatherman's got a real shot, and it seems odd because if you're in politics, you know who Rachel Hunt is, you know her dad, and look, I'm a fan of the human being Jim Hunt, not of his politics, but I like Governor Hunt on a personal level.
Sure.
And they have far-reaching contacts all across the state. But I just don't know that carries much. It's been a long time since Governor Hunt was in office.
How many people's passed away since then?
Correct. So it's a whole new world. And I said this to Assembly reporter months ago. But I think if you look at that race, when that race and the AG's race starts coming in, those early voting numbers, I think we can learn a lot.
Absolutely. Senator Sawyer, where are you at?
Well, I am naturally a pessimistic person when it comes to voting and predicting polls because I have failed in my predictions for every 4 years. I constantly do and underpredict. But I worked the polls today in South Iredell, in North Mac, and it was eye-opening. I was shocked at the number of people who came to vote who had not made up their mind.
Really?
I literally had, people who said they were torn on the way from their car to vote. They knew they had to vote because I think it's a cool thing to do right now, right? It's almost
on
like
TikTok.
this social. Yeah,
right?
That's where all my news comes from. Don't be hating.
Well, and all the NFL fields had vote on them. So.
Yeah, right. And then, but we had so many people who have walked up to the polls today who were wringing their hands, especially were females, and especially in suburban areas. So I was shocked to see. So I was feeling very confident about Trump across North Carolina. Seeing that today,
If you think that's top of the ballot, they didn't know.
Yes.
Really?
Wow.
They were conflicted. Now remember the message that the Democrats have been drilling into women's head.
Abortion.
Right. You know, they keep on saying my body, my rights. Well, where was that during COVID? I would like to ask. That's what I got one today, and I said, you know, I understand what you're saying about abortion, but how did that work for
COVID? You got an abortion today, or you got a COVID test?
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah, like well, so why is it your body, your rights when you're talking about an abortion, but your body, your rights when you're not talking about wearing a mask or getting a vaccine?
It's situational ethics, right? It's what fits the situation.
And the way I got a few of them is like, I'm not voting for just Trump. I'm voting for Trump, J.D. Vance, Tulsi Gabbard. I'm voting for every RFK. I'm voting for Vivek Ramaswamy. That is a
Peanut.
And for the love of God,
Poor Peanut.
Peanut the squirrel.
Right.
But
it's true.
At some point tonight, we'll pour one out for Peanut.
Yeah,
you know, because
I know.
Can we pour it onto the ground? And
yes, we'll pour it onto the ground and we'll sing.
And for those of you who don't know who Peanut is, David, we explain who Peanut is.
He's this famous viral squirrel.
Not feral, but viral.
Viral, not feral.
A lot of people out there are like, what
he was feral.
What did he have?
But this guy in upstate New York had I guess rescued him or befriended him. He was his pet, and some Karen outed him to the North New York I guess
Gestapo.
animal control, and they came and they took Peanut, they took his raccoon.
And then they killed him.
And then they killed him.
Because the only way they could figure out from rabies was killing him, although you can quarantine an animal for up to 10 days to decide if they're ravenous or not.
Well, I mean, you know, like I said, they said they were being mistreated, so they euthanized them. Dang.
Mistreated by see now if being mistreated is being put on TikTok, there's a lot of euthanization of people that's getting ready to happen. Okay, because
I think we're going to a gray area here.
Yeah. like they're getting into a gray area right now. But in any case, I think it's interesting what you say about the people who had not decided.
Oh my God, I was shocked.
If you listen to the talking heads on TV right now, they're all saying there's very few undecideds out there. There's very few undecideds out there.
Not true.
Yeah.
Not true. What I saw today, like, you know, where the rubber meets the roads, was people who were genuinely undecided. Now, it wasn't everybody walking in, of course. There was, you know, election day voters are different when you work a poll, right? Mm-hmm. When you work early voting, they're just kind of like sashaying in. They're good. They'll talk to you. But election day voters genuinely are like, get in, get out. I've waited till the last minute. I'm not listening to you. But
it's raining.
Yeah, it's raining. It was raining.
It's 7:57 at Belk's. You're just trying to get that sweatshirt you needed to get.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I got it.
The coupon expires tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah. So after seeing that today, that were really, really, you know, kind of skewed what I was thinking about where it was going to be today. And again, remember, I was working in areas that were not, you know, they were very, very swing district. Like we have Melinda Bell's. We need to talk about those swing districts, especially in the House, because tonight this radio station is the only place you're going to hear the meat and potatoes about the House and the Senate races. You're not going to see that on the national news. You're not going to see that. You'll hear a little bit about governor, but if you want to hear the meat and potatoes about the House and the Senate and they're keeping our supermajority, we have that information here for you tonight.
Well, I think we've probably grossly underestimated the J-Lo effect, right? Because J-Lo came out for Kamala. You know, over the weekend, and that's probably huge for a lot of people around here, right? J-Lo and Joe Rogan, come on, you got J-Lo versus Joe Rogan, right? I mean, Joe Rogan came out for Trump, J-Lo comes after Kamala. You can't underestimate the J-Lo factor, right? You just can't, because I mean, she's so in tune to the pulse of America, and she is so in tune to the needs of common people.
How is she and Ben these days?
That's her second divorce from Ben.
Is she with Ben?
Her second divorce from Ben Affleck is that's where she lost me. I mean, Ben Affleck's an all-American kid. How can you get rid of him?
She's back with A-Rod.
Divorce me once, shame on you. Divorce me twice, shame on me. Right?
Yeah, but let me tell you. So I will say that I think Trump carries the state. You're asking for predictions. I'm going to think Trump carries the state.
Is that where we're
at? By 1%. Hey, somebody has to keep you boys in line.
Welcome to my world. I've been trying.
Talking about Trump, a squirrel.
1% for North Carolina State, which
1%,
which was really nerve-wracking because that's going to hurt the down ballot races. So I think that we have a lot of educated voters who are both Democrat and Republican who are going to split their ticket. I'm really worried about the Attorney General's race for us Republicans. I'm really worried about the Lieutenant Governor's race for us Republicans. I'm worried about, of course, the governor's race. I think that's already gone. And then very worried about the superintendent of public instructions race. I am prayerful and I'm hopeful, and I think Luke Farley, Dave Bullock, Luke Farley for the labor commissioner.
That's critical.
He has done amazing work. He has been there. Dave Bullock is a freaking fundraising and animal machine when it comes to fundraising and being everywhere in North Carolina for that state auditor. I don't know that I've seen a person who has campaigned harder than him and Hal Weatherman, but specifically Dave Bullock for auditor has done an amazing job. Do you guys not agree?
No, I totally agree. It's when you're running statewide in these down ballot races, it's hard to catch fire. But by gosh, if Dave Bullock sure hasn't tried to, I mean, he has been everywhere. I mean, he's like, where's Waldo? You turn around, he's over your shoulder.
Oh, I went to a Trump rally in Rocky Mount last Tuesday. Dave Bullock was sitting in the line, shaking everybody's hand. And from the time that the doors opened, he gave me a big old sweaty hug, and I didn't care because I was like, man, that is sweat of a man who's been working the crowd all afternoon long. That guy has got it. I mean, and he had some knocks on him in the primary, but I'm so proud of where he's at. And I really think that that is the kind of government accountability we need.
Well, to your point, yeah, he had some people that were on the other side of the primary, right? But he didn't let that phase him. He went and he did the thing you have to do. You get through primaries. I was with Pat Harrigan today, right?
Yeah.
And we all supported Gray Mills, right?
Right.
And look, doesn't mean he has to be your favorite, whatever. We
Some of us still do.
well,
Sorry.
you know,
Sorry.
yeah, no,
Sorry.
but you say, hey, look, this guy represents more what I believe than his opponent.
Yeah.
And Bullock has done the same thing, right? He's
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm not going to let that deter me. I'm going to make friends with these folks. We're going to patch this divide as best we can
Right.
and move forward. That's what real leadership looks like.
That's the deal maker that we as Republicans have to continue to focus on in the primary. We need deal makers who can win statewide. Having these people who are flamethrowers, who are just going to waste an opportunity for us to have a full council of state run by the Republican Party, those days are gone. We have got to get deal makers like Dave Bullock.
Well, part of the problem too is we had a pitiful primary as far as turnout in this state. And so what you got was the fathers to the fathers right and the fathers to the fathers left. Who knows what comes out of that?
Well, I mean, Braxton
Jeff
Winston.
McNeely wins. That's how that.
I ain't really talking bad about my folks. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm
No, but
just
I'm saying like Braxton Winston, if you could not have more further left socialists just out of his mind,
Yeah.
just
No.
not good for North Carolina candidate on the Democratic side, that is the poster child of a terrible candidate for the Democratic Party.
And I follow his Twitter. So congrats to his son who just got into Wake Forest, a private institution, and he is a graduate of Davidson,
Davidson.
a private institution.
Yeah.
I love the socialists who support their private institutions.
Hey,
It's
they
amazing, right?
They made a lot of money. Now they want everybody else to give theirs. There you go.
Yeah.
It's amazing the things the limousine liberals teach you at these private colleges, right?
Right.
But no, to that end, I mean, you look at Braxton and what he says, what he espouses, right? And I like him as a person. I know him as a person.
Yeah.
But he does not need to be in the labor commissioner seat, right? I just fear that where that would take North Carolina in terms of being a right to work state, ready to accept your business, come from California, come from Pennsylvania, wherever you want to come and locate your business. Great. We want to put you to work. We want to grow your business here. A guy like Braxton, got some bad mojo, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it works.
Yeah.
He wants to he wants to unionize all the farm labor, whether they're legal or illegal or whatever. I mean, you think food costs now?
Yeah.
Holy crap! And
Yeah.
and actually, there's so many laws, so many rules we have on farm labor. I think they'd actually take a pay cut if they unionized them, but
Although,
it would go crazy.
I think as Republicans, we do need to be a little softer about our union tone because our brother and the Teamsters supported our guy.
Well,
I mean, for the first time in how many years?
Firefighters always supported me. The firefighters
Yes,
union
they did.
always
Well, they
supported
should
me.
have.
Yeah, well, I supported them.
Yeah, you did.
And we didn't agree on everything, but look, there's middle ground to be made there.
Right.
And I think that's talking about the Trump, the big election, right?
Right.
What you see with Trump right now is that he's been able to reach those folks,
Amen.
reach them where they're at, and go, hey, look, we're not going to agree on everything labor, but we're going to agree on 75% of it. I want you to make a lot of money, sure, and I want the company that's paying you to make a lot of money because if they're doing well, then you're going to have a job next year and the
Amen.
next year and the next year. So there's a place to meet. There's
Right.
a place to meet.
And Trump has been, and hopefully our Republican Party will choose him as the leader, be our next president. And also, we will model that behavior of being able to make those deals with people across the aisle, across the political divide, so that he actually will bring our country back again.
No, 100%. And I think what all of you all have touched on is something that I think everybody has addressed on their shows at one time or another here on WSIC News, is the big tent that is the Republican Party. People like to talk about the Democrats being the big tent. We really are the big tent, because ultimately what we want to see is everyone succeed, everyone do well, everyone be able to have more freedom, more liberty, and the ability to live their lives. And that really is sort of the foundation of the Republican Party and what we're all for. So greatly articulated by our crack panel in here. We will be right back here on WSIC News Election Night coverage. Stay with us.
We'll keep the umbrella within close reach today, especially if you're headed out to the polls. Not expecting much in the way of rain, but a sprinkle or an isolated shower, not out of the question. Otherwise, partly cloudy skies. Temperatures warm into the mid-70s for this afternoon. Dropping off into the low 60s overnight with a mostly cloudy sky and a sprinkle. We'll keep that isolated shower chance in the forecast with the clouds in mid-70s for our Wednesday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Cakes and cookies, toys and gifts. The Southern Christmas Show, November 14th through 24th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. Save on tickets at southernChristmasShow.com, courtesy of Kraft Body Scan. The Southern Christmas Show.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. The Dirt Track at Charlotte Motor Speedway presents the World of Outlaws World Finals Wednesday through Saturday. Catch Dirt Racing's top 3 series for 4 days of action to decide their championships, featuring the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, the World of Outlaws Late Model Series, and the Super Dirt Car Big Block Modifieds. Single day and 4-day ticket packages plus camping information are all available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. Often imitated, never duplicated. The World of Outlaws World Finals invade the Charlotte Motor Speedway Dirt Track this weekend. Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville is having a veterans celebration on Sunday. Rocky Lynn will perform and rock the lot in a special outdoor concert. Beer Lab and Ghostface Brewing will be offering their full menu of drinks and food. Bring your chairs and enjoy this Veterans Day salute with a Rocky Lynn concert Sunday at Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville. The Mooresville Veterans Day Parade and celebration honors veterans from all branches and from all conflicts. The parade begins Monday, November 11th at Richard's Coffee Shop at 1 p.m. and travels to Mooresville Town Hall. Come join and say thank you to our veterans and hometown heroes on Monday, November 11th in downtown Mooresville. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back, Saturdays and Sundays, now through November 24th. There's music, comedy, circus entertainments, huzzah! Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com, while supplies last.
Welcome back to Election Night coverage on WSIC News Radio. We are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all points in between. So before we ended up on the segment, before we actually go to our good elected official, Mayor Carney, who has joined us here in studio, we're going to go to the phones, and we have County Commissioner candidate Gene Halp on the line. Commissioner Halp, how are you doing today?
Good evening. Hope y'all are all doing well.
Doing great. How are you? I know you were out at the polls today. What's your feelings? How are things going out there? And what do you think the results are going to be for you tonight? I mean, obviously you're going to win. It's just a question of
it's a chance of rain. Rained all day. So after we all dry out, I'm very humbled. Hope we'll be successful tonight. Think we will. I appreciate all my volunteers and all the people working and all the citizens for continuing to trust us. You know, as elected officials, you've all been there around the table, and so y'all understand, you know, they don't always agree with us, but they don't always know our options, you know.
Absolutely, 100%. Now,
wait. This just in. There is an update on the Board of Elections for some early voting results.
Polls
are not closed. There are polls that are open in Burke County and Wilson counties.
Oh, really? I guess they're extending some voting hours.
They had some issues earlier, so they extended them by a couple of minutes.
But in Iredell, polls are closed.
Iredell's closed.
Yeah.
And Lincoln polls are closed.
Yeah. So anyway,
They were closed before it started in Lincoln.
Sorry, Gene, but if you guys want to look in real time, not wait for us to mammer through what you're seeing, go to the Board of Elections for North Carolina, and you can look at election results, and you can display the results by county, by state, by feds, and it will show you what I'm looking at right now. Now, again, this is like 0 of 2,000 precincts reporting, and at this time, it shows Kamala Harris with 74,000 votes and Donald J. Trump with 32,000 votes. Again, this is just
a
spotty.
gnat on a fly.
This is just spotty data that is coming through.
That's the early vote totings from Asheville.
No, yeah. So it looks like it's got some folks. Yeah. So we're getting some early election results coming in from Alexander County, from Catawba County, McDowell, Rutherford, Polk, and a few others. So again, this is not how it's going to go. But as of right now, the Board of Elections is reporting 74,000 votes for Kamala Harris and 32,000 for Donald J. Trump. And Commissioner Houp, before we say goodbye to you, is there anything you'd like to say to the voters of Iredell County?
No, I just appreciate their trust. Thanks for coming out for the 2 weeks and today and weathering the storm and voting. I hope we'll have a record turnout locally and, nationwide, really.
Yeah. And thank you. And Commissioner Houp, you're one of the longest serving Iredell County commissioners that has been in the office so far. So is this your 10th term or 10th year that you're?
This is my 5th term. Yep.
Yep. So it'll be 10 years.
This will be
so
my 5th term. Yep.
Well,
right.
Good. Well, thank you for all your service and what you've done for us, and
I'm
glad that it's over for you.
Thanks for all you're doing.
Yes, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you,
Have a good
Mr.
night. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Good talking to you, Gene.
Other local elected official we have actually in studio with us, Mayor Chris Carney from the town of Mooresville.
And
Commissioner Elisa Qualls from the town of Mooresville as well. She's sitting over there refusing a mic or a headset, which is totally fine. We completely
Which is a career saver, by the way. Right?
Yes. Nah, just here to support the mayor.
Which is so funny because that's always the joke that you never see me anywhere without Lisa because, every now and then she's got to elbow me. So that's exactly what happened tonight.
Chair needs to move closer. But you heard the state level politician predictions for tonight. What are you seeing and what do you think is going to happen tonight?
The two things I think that people, obviously, Moore's was a little bit of a different place than a lot of towns. Certainly, we are paying attention to the labor because we're in the business of recruiting companies at a high level. So that's something that we're obviously going to watch. But I don't know that – I think we underestimate the amount of educators who still remember Hunt. I had an educator today tell me, I didn't really know either one, but I loved Governor Hunt because he was a pro educator. And I think to Jason's point, we throw a lot of stones at some of the Democrat governors, but the one that Republican legislators we never threw stones at was Hunt because everybody – genuinely liked him as a person, right? So I think that's going to be an interesting thing. And I think what Vickie touched on, and this is the part that makes me nervous in general at the presidential is a lot of women in Mooresville, when you start talking about the national, a lot of them are upset with Mark, they're lifetime Republicans, Mark Robinson on the governor's side, but they won't tell you where they are in the national. And that makes me nervous in the fact that because they don't want to admit the fact that they're torn and they're not sure which way they're going to go. And that's the part that I don't really know the answer to. So I again, I go back to, I think at the end, I think it's a, are we happy these last 4 years or happy the 4 years before? We had a pretty good idea of what you're going to get. And I go with I was really happier the 4 years before this last 4, so it makes it pretty easy for me. But I do think that's going to be an interesting conversation. And then, of course, I've got 3 voting-age kids. And they wanted me to make sure that they wanted Senator Sawyer to know that they voted for her.
Thank you,
yes,
Carney
they're very
family.
big. Yep. One of them actually, one of them said they voted for McNeely. I had to remind them, no, you couldn't. He's in the wrong district. But Dave Bullock, obviously. But you got to remember the young people. They love Jeff Jackson.
Yeah.
Jeff Jackson's got a lot of followers in that young group of people. So
TikTok star Jeff Jackson.
Yeah. So I think as you hear the tickets splitting, I think it's even splitting a little bit that way too. So it'll be really interesting. But yeah, I think the female voters in the suburbs are really the ones that I can't wait to see how they turn out.
I think what Senator Sawyer earlier said, she's rocking the suburbs.
She is.
Yeah, it's just like Michael Jackson did.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. So the numbers that I talked to you earlier are only reporting from certain counties, and they're the absentee by mail that have already been reported. So those counties that you see And you look all down, they are all, like Watauga, McDowell, those folks. So we're just looking at those counties that reported absentee by mail. It's not the early voting totals right now. But if you look at it, it's pretty sad for Republicans because we are losing the absentee by mail in just those counties, even though some are very Republican.
No, that's a good point. But if you're new to this
Yeah.
happens every election
Yeah,
night,
we need to
right?
talk
It
about
just
that.
it just trickles in.
Sure.
So you can't read much from it.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Mhm.
reality is it's a small sliver of data. I mean,
Historically, Republicans start behind and make it up on the other
oh,
side.
and it just really depends on who's putting their numbers up first, right?
Right.
Who was ready to go submit it, and they went to the machine and hit the little magic submit button, and off it went, right?
Well, and then you have
Yeah.
the heavily Democratic counties that wait for everybody to, submit so they know how many votes they have to make up.
Well, I mean,
it's you have that factor too.
it's how many names you have to make up. And not saying that there's any fraud. It's not.
Oh, never,
always
never.
that.
But it's so interesting because before being mayor, I was on the board of elections, as you guys know.
That's right.
And I will tell you that is the hardest thing to try to explain to somebody is how you go to bed and people walk away and then Durham comes back the next day and starts counting again and mysteriously numbers start showing up out everywhere. That was the hardest thing to have a conversation with the public on. So I'm glad that y'all at the state made a lot of changes because I think I've always been a fan of this. Votes need to be in on this day.
Right.
When we go to bed tonight, everybody needs to know that every vote. So this idea of going through and letting votes trail in by mail for days was a terrible policy, and I'm so glad you guys did that. And I think a lot of us have a lot of scars from COVID. The big thing we're pushing right now. My big thing pushing is about how everybody's kind of moving on after that and post that time. But there's a lot of mistrust in the way that even voting happened during the COVID time, and we got to win back the trust of the people that way. And so
yeah.
I think those policies of getting all the votes in, and when you go to bed tonight having an idea of every vote's in there and there's no more trickling, I think that's going to do a lot to help with the confidence.
And kudos to the North Carolina Republican Party under the leadership of Jason Simmons and formerly from Michael Watley. They focused on the concerns and fears that we had as Republicans. And for the last 4 years, they have been addressing that in North Carolina. They have brought integrity teams for voting. They have, mobilized. Lara Trump was on our show. She talked about they had recruited over 250,000 volunteers across the nation to be poll observers or to work in the polls. They have 500 attorneys per state just for the GOP. So if you see an irregularity and you can report irregularity, whereas before we were always playing catch up, right? I mean, it was 2 days ago and somebody didn't get the information. You didn't see it happen. Now we have really, as Republican Party, have focused on making sure that it is easy to vote, but hard to cheat.
And
And
Vickie, don't forget though. I mean, but
Please do.
don't forget when people talk about people cheating. We had that on our problem in Iredell. Remember, and it was a Republican, so it was our own party that they were voting in 2 states at the same time on
Right.
purpose for a long time, for the better part of a decade or more. And the best way to have stopped that is the voter ID, because that's how we caught them. As the person, when somebody asked them to verify something, they pulled out their ID and it was a Washington State ID.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, wait a minute, why are you filling out a North Carolina ballot? And then we went back and looked, and they'd been voting in both states for a decade.
Yeah.
And so people can say what they want. We've seen it firsthand, and it's not like I'm throwing stones at the other side. That we've seen it on our side, and it's unfortunate. But cheaters are cheaters.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. And one of the unfortunate thing is that it's unfortunate that we have to take that level of precaution. It's unfortunate that our system, that we have not. I mean, there are third world countries that count their ballots on the same day and get their results back in. Right?
You mean France?
Well, I guess that qualifies.
Well, I mean, they did. Like France, that's just goofing around.
Georgia, yeah,
Georgia.
exactly. But to be fair, it's
And
just,
what's going on in Pennsylvania? Come on, people.
but
I'm sorry.
we're the richest, most technologically advanced country in the world,
Sure.
and we can't count our votes in a single day, and it creates distrust in the system. I mean, you have Democrats suing all the way up to the Supreme Court to keep Virginia from culling the voter rolls of non-citizens, and it's like, no, you can't do that. It's like, well, who is against that? And when you go and you litigate that, it's like, how can you not have people who have distrust in a system?
Yeah.
So it's sad we need 500 lawyers. It's sad that we need rapid mobilization and things like that to do that, because we have a system across the state that facilitates that in so many different ways, or across the country, excuse me, that facilitates that in so many different ways, because we can't count ballots and get election results in the course of 24 hours.
I do have one data point here that I really want to drill down on with Speaker Tim Moore, who's now running for Congress. How does the man, he's the only one of all the early vote turn-ins as a Republican that has a lead. So the U.S. House of Representatives, District 14, on the early voting, mail-in voting, turn-ins, whatever you call it, Tim Moore has 815 votes, and Pam, the loser Gannat, has 793.
Wow.
I'm kidding. I don't know her. I'm just kidding. I'm just proud of it. But
It's
everybody
a rough crowd in
else
this
has
room.
everybody else has all the Democrats, Caleb Rudow out in West, who's going against Congressman Chuck Edwards, is, he's got up threefold in his.
That's amazing.
Isn't it cool?
I mean,
We have got to call the speaker, invite him on the show, and ask him how he did it.
we actually know.
Oh, yes,
Here's the
Representative
theory.
McNeely.
There's about 815 people from Cleveland County that works for Tim at the NCGA, and so all of those did their mail-ins, and that's where it's at.
Is that how it works? Okay, all right.
Hey, whatever.
well,
Whatever it takes.
Yeah,
Whatever
okay.
it
I'm just
takes.
telling you.
all right. Well, in fairness, you know what? I misspoke. Also, Pat Harrigan is up in that same race for his congressional seat, and so he is leading the early mail-in ballot. So Jason, I need to talk to these two fellas and see what they're doing to get these.
We'll see if we can't get them on the phone.
We should try to get them on the
I'm
phone.
sure it will be insightful and will tell us everything we need to know about what to expect the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The districts touch. They're contiguous.
Oh, that's true.
Well, and I think, Preston Cornelius over here, as Vickie loves to call him, has actually got some results pulled up. Addison McDowell leading in the mail-in vote. Pat Harrigan leading in the mail-in
I'm going to go out on a
vote.
limb here.
So-
I'm going to make my first call of the night.
Okay.
Addison McDowell wins.
Wow, way to go out on a limb.
I was talking with Addison earlier
Way to go out on a
today,
limb.
and he felt really good about it.
So to remind everybody who's our listening audience, for those of us who are in Iredell County and Cornelius and Mooresville, who is Addison McDowell? In fact, I think he's fantastic, but
Yeah, so Addison's running for Congress.
Yeah.
He's in that district. What is it, 8th district? 8th?
so the Raleigh area.
Well,
West or East.
Davison County, your old stomping
Davidson.
ground.
Yes, that's right.
it's
that's
not
right.
here, but not Raleigh. It's there.
Yeah.
And it's that district, and very, very nice people. But I will call it early. Addison is going to win this race, largely in part because he doesn't have anybody contesting his claim to that throne there. So, but Addison won the primary. When he won the primary, he won the race.
So I do want you to predict something else for me congressionally, because I know you were involved in a lot of this stuff. The really only contested congressional race, which actually may determine the entire balance of power in the United States, is the Don Davis versus Lori Buckout, which is in that northeastern North Carolina quadrant, which is the most amazingly rich community, because they are changing, right? Their politics are changing. It used to be known. In fact, I'm saying this, I'm taking this out of the Dan Blue, who's the minority leader of the House, of the Senate, saying that it was the black belt of North Carolina, right? So that was reliably a Democrat stronghold. But now it's a little different. So what are you going to call that race?
Well, I don't know that we can call it, because Lori has been out there working very hard.
Yeah.
And I served with Don Davis when he was in the Senate, so you know him very well. He is, for better or for worse, and I hate to take away from his street cred with his Democrats, but he's actually pretty reasonable Democrat, right?
Yeah, he was
so it's one of those close races. Lori comes from a military background. She served. And so she's got that, kind of wing of our party, but also a lot of Democrats who appreciate her military service. But Don's, really a middle of the road Democrat. That is going to be a race to watch for a lot of reasons. You correctly pointed out. It has a lot of implications. It could matter the fate of the congressional, where Congress is going to land in the House.
Yeah.
It could be a Republican majority if Don loses. It could be break even or a Democrat majority. So that race is critically important, and that is absolutely one to watch. The thing for Don that's concerning, for at least if I were in his camp, I would say, well, the lack of enthusiasm with black voters could really impact that race, and
Yeah.
it could give us a buck-out win.
Right.
And so, and again, it has national implications.
And Trump spent how much time in East North Carolina? He was at Rocky Mount. He
Yep.
was in Kinston. He was in Raleigh. He was at ECU, all within the past month.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he has really focused in on getting, and that's something that I really like about Trump and DeSantis and those folks. They don't just run for themselves, they run for the entire ticket down. And I see that in him focusing on that Eastern North Carolina.
Well, it's important, too, because you and I and Jeff, we've served in the legislature. Chris, you've been there. But you know it on city council, too, or town council. Nobody does anything by themselves in a
Right.
republic, right?
Right.
A
We're not a
democratic
democracy.
republic.
Yeah.
No one does anything by themselves. And so realizing that and cluing in on that and going out there and campaigning for those folks who are on that ticket, who the Laurie Buckouts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Trump, very smart in being there. And I don't know, because I don't pay attention to Vice President Harris's campaign that much, but I didn't see her out there that much, right? And maybe I'm wrong. Could
She
totally
made
be
it to
wrong.
ECU and she made it to Raleigh a couple times, but I
Okay.
didn't see it. Maybe Fayetteville
But
once.
Raleigh's not East North Carolina.
Right.
Raleigh's the start
Yeah.
of what is the rest of East North Carolina.
Right.
Just blue cities. Wherever's a blue city, she showed up.
Yeah.
Other than
Right,
that,
right,
it's-
right.
Yeah.
And so that, I mean, that may be a key difference, and it may be a
Yeah.
key difference in the understanding of the electorate, right? I mean, you got to be very smart about these things. If the folks who are running Vice President Harris's campaign don't understand that part of it,
Yeah.
it could cost them tonight.
So I'm going to be a little dicey here. What do you guys attribute to the lack of enthusiasm for the black voter? Because we have seen that in early voting. That we in North Carolina, and you actually pulled the numbers, David, earlier today, that the number of folks who are Democrat are absolutely down from 2020, and the percentage of folks who are Democrat and black is definitely down. And so some people say maybe it's just an early voting thing, but no, usually Democrats win early voting. So it's not like they were cannibalizing their vote. So then today, maybe they showed up a little bit, but is it that the Harris campaign just isn't connecting and Trump is? I mean, what is going on?
Well, it's not connecting. I think the black voter demographic understands what it was like under Trump, right? I mean, they experienced the good times like the rest of everyone did, right?
Right.
And maybe to a degree more so because they hadn't been used to it, right?
Real wages were at the highest they've ever been in history.
Yeah, I mean, so that in and of itself, look. I mean, people vote their pocketbook. You and I and Jeff and Chris and Lisa running for office. Dave, you ran for office. We all know these things, right? But people still vote on what it means to them personally.
Right.
To hell with everything else. Like, what does it mean to my family? Does it mean that we're going to have a better time or a tougher time?
Right.
And I think that's playing out. I think we're seeing that. We have seen, that's the unfortunate part for national parties. When they take one demographic for granted,
Right.
it plays out in the next election. And I think by and large, Biden and Harris have done that. I think they have taken the black vote for granted.
Right.
As they have the unions. We were talking about the unions earlier.
They took them for granted.
They have said,
Yeah.
we've got you. We're not worried about you.
Mhm.
And they didn't really focus on it. And I think Trump was very, very intense and very laser focused on looking at various different groups. And I hate to separate us out. I don't like that. But they also understand that this is going to mean this to this group, and this is going to mean this to this group. And you've seen this in the Jewish communities that are coming out for Trump right
amazing.
now. Right? I mean, you've got to pay attention to those demographics. Chris, when you run for mayor, you don't ignore a group of people.
Oh no, as many of you know, we did very well with the black community in Mooresville, and over again. And here's the thing: I think that people don't realize. Republicans, we've never asked you to just give us your vote. We've said just give us a chance to earn your vote. And that's and when we went door to door and we knocked and met with different groups and talked to different churches and stuff, it was always that, hey, we're not asking you just to decide that we're the best thing. At least give us a chance to have a conversation. And guess what? That open door policy, and Lisa will tell you, that open door policy of if you go to the senior roundtable that we have every month, I'll go ahead and tell you probably 25% of the people in the room are African Americans. And guess what? You want to know the truth? You ask a black woman. I'm going to tell you right now, they don't hold back. They let you know exactly what's on their mind.
Yeah.
And I love them for it, and then they hug you and tell you, hey, I love what you're doing. But you know, and then, but I think that's the piece that people are starting to realize is that we just want a chance. And our goal is to have your family get the American dream as much as possible. We realize you've gotten a bad deal, right? In the past. Now let's go ahead and see if we can go ahead and you know, getting especially as we've started talking more about getting into trades. It's amazing how many young black men really see the value of that, and the fact that, you know, as well as I do, we say it all the time. In Mooresville, North Carolina, you go get a 2-year business degree and a heating aid degree, you're a millionaire in about 10 years.
That's
You got
right.
plenty of work.
100%.
You got plenty of work.
Well,
100%.
you know, the economy has just clobbered them. I mean, inflation hurts lower income people worse than anybody, and everybody's like, "Wow, that makes sense." No, it really cripples them because they're not going to get that jump in wages that maybe the higher earners go to their boss and say they need to keep their family going. They're just going to have to do without, and I think that's why they're not real motivated to go back for 4 more years of this. They took a whooping. Yeah. They have taken a whooping on this, and they know it.
Because I know probably you guys are going to throw me off here in a second, and that's great because you guys are really you're doing a great job with the show, and I'm holding you back. But I do think that I never thought I'd see a time where a person would get on TV and run on a platform of, I'm just going to fix all your ills. I'm not going to tell you how I'm going to fix them. I'm going to make your food bill cheaper. Well, you know as well as I do, farmers make nothing.
Oh, no.
So what are we going to do? Hammer the farmer more? Right? I'm going to make your gas cheaper. Well, how are you going to do that without being open to different kinds of energy, specifically coal and petroleum products, right? I'm going to go ahead and make your house cheaper. Well, how are you going to do that at 7% interest rates? So it's sitting there, and I couldn't have imagined running for office and looking at everybody going, hey, these are the things I'm going to do to you. Instead, what do we run on? Things we could actually do and tell you how we were going to do it. And that's the piece where I've told my kids, you know, I've never thought in my life somebody could lit up there and basically just give you this flowery, purple-skied story, and that's a campaign. Right. In the past, we've always expected people to actually have to tell you what they're going to do and how they're going to do it.
What's the ride at Disney? Soar?
Yeah.
Where you go in and they pump in the smells and you feel like you're on the savannah in Africa. Then, you know, you're cresting the mountains in the Himalayas and all that. And that's kind of the Harris campaign, right? Like, just trust me. I'm going to do it.
And joy. Don't forget joy. Joy. Lots of joy. So much joy.
So much joy. People don't buy it. I mean, to your point, Chris, people don't buy it. I mean, well, look, we all like to be lied to a little bit, right? but a little.
Jason, you look quite thin today.
Thank you so much. I've been working.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the whole point, right? Like people, we want to hear your hopes and dreams, but after a while, if it's just total BS, they're tired of it.
Yeah,
they don't want to hear this crap.
Well, if you look at the specific policy, once she finally put out some specific policy positions, it took the better part of 4 months to get her to do it. But when she finally did, you know, one of the things she put out there was, we're going to give, you know, lower income people $25,000 to buy a house. All you have done, anybody in the development world or anybody in the business world, all you've done is make a house $25,000 more expensive.
Now,
that's not going to help. And then, we're going to make it to where grocery stores can't price gouge you for products. And then you get a business person that tells you that the profit margin in groceries is not that big. They're not gouging. They're actually charging you what it costs from the person who makes it to the person who boxes it to the person that ships it to the person that puts it on the table. All of that has a cost that also goes into that price. So when you drill down into what she said, I think it goes back to what Chris said. It's all things to all people. It's let's be frilly. Let's give you this pie in the sky solution that simply is not practical and simply cannot be put into place.
Free stuff.
So can we do something after the break? We only got a couple minutes here, but we promised our listeners, because we do have a very select listening group who are excited about us maintaining the supermajority in the House and the Senate. And I feel like we talked a lot about the national race, but we really need to take the Representative McNeely, former Representative Saine, and myself, and those folks in this room, and drill down on these very pivotal races, because we have some hot contest in Charlotte going on that we need to figure out. And I'm seeing, actually, I'm down in the polls right now. I don't know if you know this.
Are you losing?
Yes, I'm losing in early vote.
It doesn't look good.
It does not look good.
I've been very concerned all night.
I haven't actually been.
It's that Mecklenburg vote, Vickie. It's that Mecklenburg vote. Don't worry. We'll pull you out.
I know, I'm down. But I do want to talk about the Tricia Cothams and the, North Meck race and the West and in Wilmington. We've got to get into those meat and potatoes because there's not a lot of live shows that are doing that right now. And I think that's our listeners.
Yeah, no, I think it's very important.
Yeah.
And Vickie, before they throw us off, can we go and say this? Listen, no matter how you voted, right? Let's all keep in mind somebody that you like, somebody that you respect, somebody you really care about, probably voted a different way. So let's all when we get tomorrow, hey man, you know what? Yeah. Let's not say anything to anybody that's gonna like ruin friendships, man. I promise you, we make a way bigger deal about this stuff than is possible. The United States is a big aircraft carrier, man. You know what? As much as I don't want to see Kamala Harris elected, I will get up tomorrow and there still will be oxygen and I still will be able to survive.
Absolutely. Peaceful transfer of power is the beauty of our representative republic.
Which is exactly what Joe Biden said today. He said, when they pry it out of my cold dead hands, which I really appreciate.
I thought he said, "Can I get sprinkles with my ice cream?"
So we will talk about the state Senate races. We got Michael Lee, Lisa Barnes. There's the open seat in Northern Wake, which is Ashley Adams versus Terrence Everett.
And the House.
And then the House. We've got about 10 races in the House we need to look at.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll talk about those.
Exactly. Sure. Stay with us here on WSIC News for our election night coverage. We'll be right back.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9, 100.7. WSIC, Statesville, Mooresville, North Charlotte.
Got a Toyota? Get it serviced at Quality Car Care of Statesville. Looking for a great pre-owned vehicle? Quality Car Care has you covered at 2040 Old Mountain Road. Visit QualityCarCareStatesville.com.
Lineup.
Karen Brinson Bell heads the State Board of Elections. It's her belief
that the vast majority of the unofficial results for election night will be in our system and available to the public by 11 p.m.
During COVID, the count spilled into early Wednesday. Early voting records have amplified the enthusiasm for this night's results.
Fox's Evan Brown at Trump headquarters in West Palm Beach.
The former president won't join his supporters here at the Palm Beach Convention Center until later tonight. He's watching returns at home with family and, according to sources, Elon Musk.
Fox's Evan Brown, America's listening to Fox News.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Don't miss the epic return of Yellowstone, premiering Sunday at 8/7 Central, only on Paramount Network.
Legacy. You build something worth having. Someone's gonna try and take it. What I'm doing isn't for the ranch. It's for us.
America's #1 show returns.
I spent my whole life here. Me too. You destroy me, you destroy yourself.
Unlike you, I keep my promises.
The epic return of Yellowstone, Sunday at 8/7 Central on Paramount Network.
Some additional information for the Fox News Decision Desk. Vice President Harris will take some big victories this hour. The Fox News Decision Desk can project that the vice president will win Illinois, adding 19 electoral votes to her tally. She'll also win New Jersey, another reliably Democratic state. Voters in Massachusetts will deliver a clear Harris victory. Fox News projects that Harris will win Connecticut, and the vice president will also win Maryland. That state is worth 10 electoral votes. Harris will easily win Rhode Island, a Democratic stronghold, and she has a lead in Delaware, but it's too early to call. The vice president will win the District of Columbia, which has never voted for a Republican. A man arrested while trying to enter the U.S. Capitol Visitor Center. Capitol Police say he was carrying a torch and a flare gun.
U.S. Capitol Police Chief J. Thomas Manger.
One of the officers noticed a faint odor of gasoline. When they pulled the backpack off the conveyor belt, they noticed a much stronger scent of gasoline. At that point, the subject was detained. He was placed under arrest.
Chief Manger said the man told police his intent was to deliver papers to Congress. Police locating his car several blocks away. The investigation remains ongoing.
Fox's Laura Cantor, an alleged explosive plot aimed at sabotaging flights to the U.S.
Prosecutors in Poland say a series of parcel fires in European warehouses were a trial run, and the United States was the ultimate target. Packages containing explosives were allegedly sent via courier companies to 4 countries. They spontaneously blew up or burst into flames. Western security officials believe this was orchestrated by Russia's military intelligence agency, the GRU. Russia denies being involved. Poland's National Prosecutor's Office has confirmed 4 arrests, saying such parcels would ultimately be sent on flights to the US and Canada.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. I'm Lisa Lacera.
Welcome back to Election Night coverage on WSIC News Radio. We're sticking with you here until 9 o'clock. We are still watching results come in on the Board of Elections website for North Carolina as things go through. And but as was foreshadowed by the good Senator Sawyer before we kicked off, and she stole my drink.
Your Pepsi?
Yeah, you stole my Pepsi.
It is the taste of the Carolinas.
That's what
Catherine
they tell me.
thought we might actually be drinking Pepsi. She's impressed.
Well, we do have Pepsi. These are literally Pepsis.
That's what I'm still looking for caffeine. I'm still looking for caffeine.
But
Well,
we do
you
have
guys
some
enjoy
state.
your
We
Pepsi.
do have some state races that we wanted to drill down into. So, Vicki, which ones do you have up there for us?
Well, you know, the good former Representative Jason Saine and I talked about it, and the Senate won, as we often do. And
That's when we let them think they won, but they wanted the thing that we wanted it to do first. And we go, oh my God, that's a great idea.
I
Go
know.
with it, Senate.
We know that they know that we know that they know.
See, they'll think it's the fake Rock Ridge, but we'll know it's
That's
the real Rock
Ridge.
Ridge. Of course.
oh my God, you guys are too funny. All right, so we only have a few that races that we have really focused in on, and those are very, very important races. Now, remember, we've kind of said in the show that the governor's race is leaning Democratic, right?
It
I mean,
is.
it's so we're just going to go ahead and toss that up one for the D. But in order to counterbalance that, it's very important for us to be able to have a supermajority, and that's something that we've all been fundraising for and working for. In order to do that, then we have to maintain 30 seats in the Senate and 72 in the House.
72 in the House. Right.
72 in the House. So the 3 seats that are very important to us in the Senate is Senate District 7, Michael Lee. That's New Hanover, Wilmington area.
Right.
It's always a tough.
It's just tough.
And
'Cause
even for
new-
your
new
House
folks-
members, too.
Oh,
Maybe we
always
should
is.
actually go by area, because even in the House, Wilmington is very difficult, right?
Wilmington's difficult, not because there's a woman there that
I'll
get along
yield.
with.
I'll yield.
That one might yield.
But just because there's it's new people coming in all the time, moving into the beach, and so it's hard to tell that demographic.
Right.
It really is. So those folks who run there, and Michael Lee is kind of the laser focus there. Michael being a senior appropriations chair in the Senate.
Right.
Huge contributor to everything that we do, as far as but it's ground zero.
It is.
And his race is very important. Then you go on to Lisa Barnes, who lives, what is that, Nash, Wilson County area.
Yeah.
So kind of northeast of Raleigh. For those that this part of areas of the state you don't
Kind of Cooper country.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then Senate District 18, which is Northern Wake and Granville, which is also a very rapidly changing area because of the growth in Raleigh. And so
Right.
that's Ashley Adams and Terrence Everett.
Right.
So those three races right there are going to be in play tonight.
Right.
Those are ones to watch. So if you're taking notes, Senate District 7, Senate District 11, and Senate District 18 are those Senate races. Michael Lee, I think, I think Lisa wins. I think Michael does win. And if that's the case, then supermajority's in the Senate.
Right.
And that kind of settles it right there.
Right.
18 would be, is that a pickup? I can't remember.
Yeah, so that would be a pickup. That was currently the senator has stepped down. She ran for one term and then decided that she didn't like it, I guess, and then she stepped down. Sorry, there's
a lot not to like in the Senate.
Yeah,
We
I mean,
understand.
so anyway, so she stepped down, and so it's an open seat there.
Right.
And so that one is an open between. So Ashley Adams and Terrence Everett. Now, Terrence Everett is an interesting character, right? You had him in the House.
He is, but in fairness, and my former colleague here may differ with me, I actually got along great with Terrence. Right?
Yeah.
But not everyone in my caucus did.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, as evidence, so let's just tell the story, guys. So give me 30-second story about what happened to Terrence Everett. So as you guys know, that I eat in the cafeteria for legislators often. And I go out the back way to use the restroom.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I never go down there.
And on the back way to the restroom, there is what used to be a broom closet, but it is now Terrence Everett's actual
office.
Yes. And so as I walked by there one day, I saw the yellow mop buckets replaced with Terrence Everett signs. And I was like, oh, huzzah, someone actually got the speaker upset a little bit.
Which is, it's a nice space, right? I mean,
I'm sure.
I mean,
Right
there were a lot
next
of
to the
people-
bathrooms and to the
Hey,
food.
you can walk right from your car right into it. It's only like 15 steps.
And you don't have to talk to not one lobbyist on
No.
your way, which
Yeah.
is nice, right? I
Yeah.
mean, not that they were necessarily talking to them because minority party, whatever. But I'm just saying, it's a
You
nice
know what
walk.
they're having
It's a
for
nice
lunch.
walk.
You can smell it.
That's right. Oh, and boy, can you smell it there.
Yeah.
So apparently we.
Okay. We do have Judge Rob Young on the phone. He's on, if you voted in Iredell County and Alexander County, he was on your ballot. I want to welcome to the radio show Judge Rob Young. How's it been out there today?
It was excellent. I was over at the Ag Center poll setting, and we had just a tremendous stream of people coming in. It wasn't overwhelming, but very polite voters. I was glad for that. They were happy to receive the material I had. The loyal opposition was there also, and they were polite to them too. And it was just a pleasant afternoon, and really good to see as many people coming up to vote as they even this late in the process coming out to vote.
And Judge Young, tell us where you serve and then what you do. You're a district court judge?
Yes, I'm a district court judge. My district is District 32, and that's Iredell County as well as Alexander County. I serve in the courts that handle family law matters principally. That's our primary focus outside of a number of other areas. We also handle criminal matters. We handle civil matters. We do a whole host of things. Basically, the law states whatever the Superior Court doesn't do, that's what we do. And so we handle a lot of different things. Today I had traffic in the morning in Taylorsville. And tomorrow I've got a jury trial back in Taylorsville, and I'll be in a jury term the rest of the week.
Well, thank you so much, Judge, for calling into the show. Thank you for serving us so well in Iredell and Alexander County, and I just appreciate your service. Again, Judge Rob Young on the phone calling in from the front lines. Thank you so much, sir, for calling in.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you for having me.
So before we get back to the state races, we've got to that point in the night where states are starting to be called. The states that you expect, right?
Yeah.
Kamala Harris projected to win Connecticut. No shock there.
Get out.
Yeah, I know, right?
No way.
That was out Sunday.
I really thought this time Connecticut was going to come through.
Exactly. Trump won, projected to win Florida, Mississippi, Alabama. The traditional bellwethers, obviously, of the state. Also, Virginia Fox already projected to win.
I think she beat Chuba Hubbard.
I believe so.
The Panthers.
I believe so. Also, Decision HQ, which is a fantastic Twitter account to follow. They follow election results very, very closely.
Sorry, that was Chuck.
Already projecting North Carolina, Josh Stein to win the governor's race. That really not much.
I think my
there.
dog predicted.
Yeah, I was going to say
I think Junior was
really,
on the
really
trail
nothing
on that
going
one.
out
Still
on limbs
out,
here at the
folks.
moment. All the things that are
biggest upset in
keep holding
American governmental history elections.
Jeff,
you believe, brother.
Representative McNeely, I really have a serious question for you. I'm not trying to goof around. Are you being funny or serious? Because this is going to now wait a minute before you answer. This is going to this is going to jade me from all your future decisions.
Wait a minute, you already are jaded to all my future decisions.
Well, I do want to give a shout out.
I got nothing to lose.
I do want to give a shout out. We have media, North Carolina media royalty who's listening to our show right now with Kelly McCullen from PBS and the State Lines. I'm going to be on there next week. You've been on there
a time or two.
Kelly is texting us. He said we sound great on the radio, and he's looking for us to be back on the show. And I'm excited that he's listening. So thank you so
Apparently
much.
Cable's down in the Raleigh-Durham area.
I do not think that Mark is going to win. I do not want to work with Josh Stein. So this is just my pity party. Let me have it.
Okay. If it's your party, and you can cry if you want to. So
it's not that bad a guy.
Because if you were a true believer, there's plenty of good seats still available at his victory party if you wanted to venture down there.
So you're drinking the bourbon tonight when you get done with the caffeine. No, you're not. But anyways, so we have those state senate seats.
I am not either.
We have those state senate seats. I know that are neck and neck. Thankfully, Jason, I wasn't in your position where you could actually run the caucus because the Senate and the House caucus is different. But for years, you fundraised and you actually made the political decisions based on who you were going to support in the House. So I'm interested now that you're not in that position, but you're just a heartbeat away. What do you think is going to happen in the House? I mean, we got Tricia Cotham. Let's talk about Charlotte real quick. Okay, got Tricia Cotham versus somebody with a really bad political picture. I'm just going to say it was the worst political picture from any chick in a $1 million
Here's what aggravates
race.
me about her ads, right? I'm not going to mention her name, Nicole, but I'm just going to say, when you do the B-roll shot, when you're pretending to be engaging voters, and you're just this much animated, and you're just talking too much, like it's just bad B-roll. Like somebody, please coach her. Like
the Tim Walz jazz hands action.
Like, come on, just go.
I don't know what to do with my hands right now. Yeah, I don't know what to do.
What do we do? Bad commercials. She might win. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Look, if you look at these early voting trends, right? And Mecklenburg's been a bear to try to predict because it always is.
Yeah.
Right? But there wasn't this energy behind the Democratic candidate. If Tricia Cotham wins tonight, the gnashing of teeth that will happen in southeastern Mecklenburg will be phenomenal. Same with Melinda Bells, right?
Yeah.
Melinda's got a shot at winning.
That woman has worked.
They both have worked
their
tails off.
Yeah.
And poor Tricia, and I don't mean it like poor Tricia. Like, look, she got mad at her caucus because they weren't including her. That's the bottom line. Nobody says it. I'll say it. Like they just totally they froze.
They bullied her.
They froze her out.
Wait. The party of women.
So Robert Reeves,
only strong women.
Robert Reeves owned this problem, right? You let the bullies from the far left bully her out, and that's why we got a supermajority. That's the real reason.
Right.
No one said
and
it
they're pissed
till tonight, but they're pissed, right?
They're pissed because they screwed up.
So if Tricia wins tonight, oh my God, it's going to disrupt her whole leadership in the minority party in the House. It should be a question of the leadership in that caucus going, how did you let this person leave?
Right.
Because Tricia Cotham was a very loyal Democrat,
right?
She voted with us on business issues,
right?
But once you kick somebody out, then it's just like okay, and she's matching up with her district, so it's a whole juggling act. The whole time.
And Joel Ford, remember from the Senate, Joel Ford in Mecklenburg County was very Tricia Cotham-esque.
Yes.
He never flipped parties. He's still a lifelong Democrat, but he worked with the Republicans and he got good stuff done, especially for school choice, especially for voter
Great stuff
ID.
for Mecklenburg.
And he brought back tons of money from Mecklenburg. When you don't elect deal makers, you get no deal.
Here's some secret sauce to those voters in Mecklenburg.
Yeah.
I get you can be far left as you want to be, and you can pound your chest and say, look, but if you're not dealing with the rural Republicans who are in charge,
that's right.
You're missing out. And look, I want to help you. Like I work well with people on city council,
Yep.
people on county commission. They're friends, different parties. But if you're just going to throw your legislators out with the bathwater, big mistake. Because you know what you get? You get zero. And that's very dumb. It's particularly in a county I want to see do well because it's an economic engine for the state. I'm very pro Mecklenburg. I'm pro the businesses that are there.
Me too.
I want people there to do well. We spend most of our weekends in Mecklenburg. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Well, and then don't elect, and forgive me for this, because if she wins tonight, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to sell my insurance agency, but you do not elect like face slappers like Natasha Marcus from Mecklenburg County. I mean,
So
she
charming.
came up
So charming.
and she basically just beat the crap out of us, like openly, instead of like sitting down, trying to work through legislation, trying to do the right thing for her district. And in fact, she was trying to do stuff for firefighters in Mecklenburg County, and it got blocked because she was such a absolute just nasty person on the floor.
Fast forward. When it come out of your chamber,
Right.
when it come to my chamber, our chamber.
Yeah.
If her name was at the top of it, forget it. Like, no. This person is rude and nasty to me.
She would not even say hello to you on the bridge.
That's
and
right.
I would make a point of always just, hey, how are you? Just to aggravate the crap out of her because
Right.
she would not. She'd look you dead in the eye and walk on.
So I'm gonna say that.
Breaking news.
Yes, sir.
You have taken a lead by 39 votes.
Oh, thank God.
It can't-
39 people.
there's no going back from here. You got a 39 vote lead with 3%
Thank you.
3% reporting.
Thank you. But I do want to go back to that because we need to continue this story. We need to continue the story about you need to elect deal makers. I was listening to Do Politics Better, and your very dear friend, Congressman McHenry, was on, and he was talking about the magic wand question. The magic wand question, what they always say is, what would you change one thing? And he said, I would bring back smoke-filled rooms.
Yeah. Earmarks.
And he's right. Just going up there and being an AOC or a Marjorie Taylor Greene, you're doing nothing but making more money for the liberal media to put your mug on TV to make other people upset about what you're saying. Are
Shock
you
journalism.
helping your people at home? No, you are not.
Well, you're talking about Kelly McCullen that does
Yeah.
state lines, right? We've been, you and I both been on there, and it is a very balanced, very fair platform to do that. People hunger for that. They actually want to see the other side because it turns out we don't have all the answers either.
Right.
That's right.
But when it is so one-sided, if you don't watch State Lines, it's on PBS.
Right.
You pay for it. State dollars go for it. But I think it's important that we do pay for that. I've been a big supporter.
Yeah.
Because it's a level playing field. You get all sides. I've said on the panels, just like you have,
Right.
with people of the other party, sometimes people I don't particularly care for.
Right.
However, in that format, you actually get to put out the ideas that matter in the state. I think we're losing that more and more in the mainstream media.
Right.
That's why people are going to X and going to various different news sources to get their news.
Right.
Shame on them. They'll lose their market share. That's the way business
Right.
works. Sorry.
Right.
But
Right.
this is how this works.
Yeah.
So back to, I know we got to circle it back.
Yeah, I'm looking at your house races
Well-
now, and I'm seeing if there's anything. And remember, we at the General Assembly are going to get a little bit of egg on our face because people are frustrated because usually at this time at 7:30 we would have had early voting results in. But Preston, not Cornelius, is here, and he's looking through that. Preston Curtis is here.
You're losing.
I'm losing at this moment. Oh gosh, I'm losing at this moment.
Down again.
Well, I'm down again.
Could
Oh,
be a
my
tough
God.
night. Could be a tough night.
Could be a tough night.
I'll
But-
bring it back. We did talk about the state houses, right?
Yeah.
So we got 10 state houses we got to look at, right?
Yeah.
So House District 5, which is Bill Ward, that is northeastern North Carolina. That is where, I can't remember. I think it might be Howard Hunter's district. Can't remember.
It was.
House
It
District
was.
37, Aaron Perret. My former colleague, your colleague.
In Wake County.
Aaron is a really good leader. Wake County's, ground zero as far as if you're a, kind of pragmatic Republican versus the far left Democrat. So Aaron's there. House District 24, Ken Fontenot. House District 25, they're in that Wilson-Nash County area. These are very important. House District 35, which is an open seat in Northern Wake, which is Mike Scheitzel. Don't read it the way you see it.
Don't say that
Scheitzel.
too fast.
And Yvonne Hopkins, that's another one. House District 115, which is Lindsay Prather, which is in Asheville area.
That one I'm interested.
I am too.
really interested in the Lindsay Prather seat out of Asheville because what I've seen from early voting numbers from Western North Carolina is angry voters at the government for not showing up when they thought they would. And then, David, you are from that area, so you have family still in that district and you know these voters. But it looks like they have surpassed early voting numbers in Western North Carolina, correct?
Yes, they have.
And today, from Twitter feeds or X, sorry, I've seen nothing but long lines. I mean, is that what you're seeing and hearing from Western North Carolina?
100%. And I think that's one of the things about Western North Carolina. And we touched on it a couple of weeks ago on your show when I guess it was David Axelrod, formerly, Obama's campaign manager, was talking about, about the fact that, Asheville, is a blue area and they're more educated. They'll figure out a way to vote. When you get outside Asheville into the western parts, and those people, they're not as refined, they're not as educated.
Not as refined as the homeless people on the streets in Asheville.
Exactly, exactly. They're not going to. It might be tougher for them to find a way to vote. And and it's like, all the early voting numbers blew that out of the water. Because what I think a lot of and what the limousine liberal, the New York liberal, the people like the Axelrods who have never spent any time in Western North Carolina don't understand. This is a passionate group of people who are going to get out and vote no matter what. And when you have situations where they feel like that government assistance didn't come when it said it was going to be there, FEMA came in and was off the beaten path. They weren't on the main things. It was botched from one end of the world to the other. Those people remember, they carry those receipts, and by early voting numbers, they carried them to the voting booth. And that is a huge block of voters that are reliable Republican voters that are going to be there in Donald Trump's column.
Yeah, and let's remember this Lindsay Prather seat. I mean, she was a freshman, so it's always assumed that your first election after your election is the real election, right?
Right.
So she's going to have her most difficult time getting reelected here, and we do have some anger for the folks in there. Representative
and the lady running against her, Ruth Smith, lawyer up there, and has actually been the lawyer that has kind of stuck it to the city and the county government and doing some of their poor employee management, we'll put it that way. So she's kind of a little cult hero amongst them. She kind of fights for the underdog, and went up and actually worked with Ruth, took her some stuff so we could hand it out up there, right after the hurricane happened, and got great reception. And she's just really down to earth.
Yeah.
She's just really down to earth, and so we'll see. We'll see.
So what is the political makeup of that district? I know that's a very difficult thing to ask you guys right now.
50-50.
Is it a true swing
So
district?
it's competitive.
It's competitive.
Right? A Republican win in a Republican year. And so if this is a Republican year, Lindsay could go back to UNC Asheville and keep teaching what she does. Right? And good for Lindsay, right?
Yeah. And then we're.
I assume she's on a sabbatical.
I cut you off on the Lindsay Prather thing because I was excited about that. Is there any other House districts? Forgive me if I didn't let you finish your thought.
So 7 through 10 races. So House District 105, Tricia Cotham.
Right.
Very important. We talked about that. House District 98, which is Melinda Vels versus Beth Helfrich, whatever.
I don't know.
Good for her, right?
Can I highlight that because we're in Melinda's district and like that. There are many times that I have met people who are going to run for office, and they talk about doing stuff. Melinda has done it. I mean, the woman has been the mayor of Huntersville. She has knocked on doors every Saturday, every day for like the last 6 months. She has knocked on the doors at least 3 times a week. She has been known in this and commodity. And let's just be honest with you, Charlotte, if you don't send Melinda Bales to Raleigh, there's no hope for your transit tax. It is just the silliest thing.
It's done.
I cannot believe Democrats can ask this mean old Republican, General Assembly doesn't like Mecklenburg County in one hand, and then they won't send Melinda Bales up to Raleigh to represent them, who was on the planning committee for the Red Line.
It's your best chance to get it done.
Like, what are you even talking about? Right. Like, how? I mean, I need help in the House, and I'm only one that represents.
No, that's right. You're the only one that represents.
I can't do it. So, and you're going to
metro area.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, why Melinda Bales is not?
Yeah,
but why Melinda Bales is not carrying this away with tons of good support from all sides is absolutely crazy to me. And the reason why Mecklenburg County may not be successful.
Well, let's think about it. We could
election.
go back to 1998, right? And Here I am going to take you back to 1998.
98?
I feel like Casey Kasem.
I mean, is it a good
let's
year?
Let's go back to
Dear Casey.
1998. And he writes.
And he writes.
Let's go back to the lock fair cloth.
Oh, Lord.
And what was the guy with the hair? The Josh worked for John. I don't know.
Edwards?
John Edwards. Yeah,
Yes.
problems, marital problems. Anyway, so John, did nothing for Mecklenburg. Faircloth gets I-77 expansion coming in, all that, and then they go and vote against him. And then we wonder why we have toll lanes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, elections have consequences.
I know.
They have consequences. 'Cause sometimes you got to blame the
Well,
voter.
let's just be honest
you
about
didn't vote
this.
in your best self-interest.
Pat McCrory lost the governor's race because of our district along I-77 about the tolls, right?
You mean the tolls that Roy Cooper signed?
The tolls
the
that Roy
contract.
Cooper signed the contract and yet hasn't hardened his shoulders and yet hasn't renegotiated the contract. All of that stuff in this same community, the Democrats are within a heartbeat of winning that race. It does not make sense to me. And we as Republicans have to do better about preaching that message.
As my friend Art Laffer, Reagan's economist, says, sometimes people get the government they deserve, right? Just saying. Last two races, House District 32, Frank Sossman, House District 48, Garland Pierce. In that Garland Pierce race, Republicans could win. So those 10 races are the ones to watch tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and like I said, I look at there's really 5 that I think that are critical, and that's Ruth Smith, Lindsey Prater, Tricia Cotham, Nicole Sidman, Bill Ward, Howard Hunter, Melinda Bales, Beth Hillcrist, Frank Sossman, and Brian Cohen. I have no idea to say that woman's name. I didn't vote for her. Couldn't.
Well, we're excited about tonight. We've got a few minutes less, another 30 minutes, unless you call in and ask us to stay later and the station owner allows us to stay on.
We have a groundswell of support.
I don't know. Honestly, my texts are blowing up from people who are listening to us, and I'm excited for that. Thank you so much.
I got some
Doug
cash money.
Holland.
We're going to pay Joe to stay later.
Yes, we are.
All right.
You're listening to Election Night coverage on WSIC News. We'll be right back.
Well, keep the umbrella within close reach today, especially if you're headed out to the polls. Not expecting much of the way of rain, but a sprinkle or an isolated shower, not out of the question. Otherwise, partly cloudy skies. Temperatures warm into the mid-70s for this afternoon. Dropping off into the low 60s overnight with a mostly cloudy sky and a sprinkle. We'll keep that isolated shower chance in the forecast with the clouds in mid-70s for our Wednesday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Cakes and cookies, toys and gifts. The Southern Christmas Show, November 14th through 24th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. Save on tickets at southernChristmasShow.com, courtesy of Kraft Body Scan. The Southern Christmas Show.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. The Dirt Track at Charlotte Motor Speedway presents the World of Outlaws World Finals Wednesday through Saturday. Catch dirt racing's top 3 series for 4 days of action to decide their championships, featuring the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, the World of Outlaws Late Model Series, and the Super Dirt Car Big Block Modifieds. Single day and 4-day ticket packages plus camping information are all available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. Often imitated, never duplicated. The World of Outlaws World Finals invade the Charlotte Motor Speedway dirt track this weekend. Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville is having a veteran celebration on Sunday. Rocky Lynn will perform and rock the lot in a special outdoor concert. Beer Lab and Ghostface Brewing will be offering their full menu of drinks and food. Bring your chairs and enjoy this Veterans Day salute with a Rocky Lynn concert Sunday at Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville. The Mooresville Veterans Day Parade and celebration honors veterans from all branches and from all conflicts. The parade begins Monday, November 11th at Richard's Coffee Shop at 1 p.m. and travels to Mooresville Town Hall. Come join and say thank you to our veterans and hometown heroes on Monday, November 11th in downtown Mooresville. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays. Now through November 24th, there's music, comedy, circus entertainments. Huzzah! Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last.
Hey folks, you know Randy Marion Ford Lincoln in Statesville is known for the prices and selection, but I tell you what, you may not have known the distinction that this store received with Ford and Lincoln this year. We received the President's Award for 2023 for Ford for the 5th year in a row. We also received it for Lincoln for the 1st year, and I tell you, those awards don't come easily. It all boils down to taking care of the customers and having the vehicles you want in stock for you to buy.
Welcome back to Election Night coverage on WSIC News Radio. We are still streaming live on the WSIC News app, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X, formerly known as Twitter. But obviously, what's really been cool about doing this is we got a lot of texts coming in from listeners to our various shows who are sticking with us during tonight. Our good friend Jason Overturf, who's a diligent listener, solid listener.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Yes. Has texted us. Representative Saine, or former Representative Saine, excuse me, has gotten a number of texts from his listeners. Jeff, still waiting on a listener.
Hey, wait a minute.
I've gotten quite a few.
He's gotten quite a few.
I ain't answering them back yet. Sorry, listeners.
A couple of quick updates here on the coming in from the Decision HQ area on North Carolina. Mark Harris projected to win the North Carolina 8th Congressional District. No shock there. Also, the Florida. For those who aren't familiar, Florida actually had two amendments on the ballot this year. They had one regarding abortion that is actually going to be failing. It was the right to abortion amendment that had been put on there that took their ban, or not their ban, but their I guess time frame in which you could get one down. That one failed. Also, the marijuana legalization one failed there as well, so that goes down. Donald Trump has been predicted to win Arkansas. Again, no shock there. Tim Moore projected to win the election of the 4th Congressional District. So congratulations to Speaker of the House and soon-to-be Congressman Tim Moore.
Now, again, we're only looking at like 3 of 139 precincts in a couple of these congressional districts that are
Which
reporting.
are plenty.
Well, which are plenty. Which are plenty.
But Brad Knott is only up by like 90 votes over Frank Pierce in his district, which again, I'm sure that's just like,
that's
know,
in North Carolina.
It's in North Carolina. I know. Rouser's up only by like 1,500 votes. Virginia Fox is a beast. She's always going to be up. This is so early right now. Yeah. But we do have different ones. And right now, Kamala Harris is at 398,000 votes. And Donald J. Trump is 394.
Very close. And Greg Murphy, your favorite proctologist and mine.
Yes.
has got a big lead.
Yes, he does.
It's very intimate with the voters.
And they haven't called New Jersey yet. So apparently,
really?
Yeah, they've not called New Jersey yet, interestingly enough.
I was just there. It was a very nice place.
Tim Kaine projected to win in Virginia. No shock there. Longtime senator there, so no shock there.
How about Virginia Fox beating Chuba Hubbard, though? That's impressive.
And I'll be fair with you. I think, Chuba has done well in the Panthers running game. I'm not so sure if you suited Virginia Fox up under, she couldn't gain more yards.
Look, crazy like a fox, she's always going to win.
She is a machine when it comes. I've had several people come to me and they'll say that they were going to run against her and they want to have a meeting with me, and I'm like, yeah.
Turns out she's sitting on $3 million. I don't know if you know this or not, but
and a beast on the campaign trail. I mean, just an absolute beast. That
woman, is a woman you
cannot outwork her. Right?
Hey guys, so as of a few moments ago, then we got the Josh Stein and Mark Robinson results in. Josh Stein with 56% of the vote. Mark Robinson with 39% of the vote. Again, this is very, very early, but it seems like it may.
But you might cover.
Yeah.
You might cover.
You might
not
cover.
That's the point.
Rachel Hunt is on top with 51% of the vote, and Hal Weatherman at 46% of the vote. Again, these are like
very
less
early.
than 11% of precincts who are reporting. And also, I'd like to remind folks what precincts are. Precincts are how we divide the state up based on the number of people. And so each time you vote in your precinct on election day, then it's a very small amount. So that could be, it's just different wherever you are.
Yeah.
You could be closer to your county seat where you bring it in further away, but everybody has a precinct, and these precincts each report their votes per day.
These things do take a little bit of time. I am impressed though with Richard Hudson, Congressman Hudson's numbers. Our classmate from UNC Charlotte.
He's fantastic.
It turns out he's beating a guy called Nigel.
Nigel.
Who would have thought in North Carolina that a guy named Richard Hudson could beat a guy named Nigel?
Yes.
But Nigel's he's still strong,
solid
right?
name. It's more of an English name. It's like something you'd like think would be running for prime minister. in
Nigel
England, right?
William Bristow.
Nigel the Third.
I don't
The
know.
Third.
Guys,
I don't know if Nigel's going to do okay. Not judging.
In
just
another
saying
news,
Nigel.
51% Georgia reporting, Trump 54%, Kamala Harris 44%. Again, that's with 51%
What about
in
Atlanta?
Georgia.
Have you heard anything out of Atlanta?
Atlanta,
Fulton
obviously
County.
not reported yet. Fulton County not in yet.
You know, these
Those
council
guys at
estates
the
that I'm
golf
looking
team.
in with only
Extra innings. Extra innings.
these council estates that I'm looking in with only 11 or 12% of the vote coming in, they're still, man, they are neck and neck. I mean, we're looking at like Mo Green and Michelle Morrow with, well, actually she's underperforming where other folks are. Luke Farley at 393,000 votes, Braxton Winston at 379. Guys, this is very, very close.
And we're still watching Iredell County, still the same as it has been for a little bit, about 3.94%
Yeah.
of the votes in, sticking close. So I'm sure they're working hard tabulating those votes. Oh, now we jumped, right? See, I said that, and all of a sudden they
And it
posted
just-
them.
and it
they heard
does,
me.
yeah.
So about 37% now in. So
Oh, I see, yeah.
So now we're in. So I mean,
In Iredell County,
in
yeah.
Iredell County, again, this is
Statewide, only
Iredell County.
50%.
So we'll actually skip down for the moment because obviously Iredell County reliably Republican. So we'll actually skip down into the local race right now with 37% of the vote in. Representative Gene Haupt leads in the county commissioner race with 26.26%, 31,000 votes. Melissa Nieder second, 29,699. Scotty Brown in third, 28,109. Again, it was always going to go Gene, Melissa, and Scotty. There was never any question about that. It was just a question of what the order is. So we still have a little bit more to come in and vote on that. In the Iredell Statesville School Board of Education race inside of District 2. Right now, Kevin Engel is up on Natalie Ramos, 76% to 23%, 1,342 to 421. In the Iredell Statesville School Board of Election District 4, Rhonda Hoke up 542 to over Robert Spider Thompson. How do you not win with a name like Spider? I've always loved
Is it
the
Spider or
the
Spinner?
candidates that have their nicknames in there. I've always loved that. I've always thought it was fantastic. But Rhonda Hoke up 542 to 264 currently based on the ballots. Doug Knight in District 6 up substantially over close to 2,900 votes or so over his opponent, whose name I can't pronounce. And then so that's what we're looking at so far in the
Well, to
Iredell
bring
County
it
Commissioner.
full circle, I just refreshed on the State Board of Elections.
Yeah.
And turns out that Donald J. Trump is at 52.32% over Kamala Harris. Kamala, whatever, 46.48%. But watch out for Cornel West.
Yes.
He is just behind the write-ins.
Just behind the right-ins.
Just behind the right. Cornell could make it happen.
And I really thought Cornell was getting traction. I really, that beard, that hair. I mean, how could you not? I mean, how could he not get more traction on election day? I don't get it.
I mean, Cornell's a known quantity, right? I mean, he's on PBS a lot.
He is on PBS a lot.
And Kelly, no offense, of course, but and CNN.
Yes, we love
He's
PBS.
always got that hand on that chin.
Always.
That's how you know you're thoughtful.
Yeah,
right.
Always thinking.
So we're looking at some of the. I'm sorry, I'm in quiet here, which you guys probably appreciate. But I was looking through some NC State district things, and some of those swing districts are a little tighter than I like, with 13% of the vote coming in. I'm looking over District 4 with Buck Newton and Raymond Smith. You served with Raymond Smith, correct? And
I have.
Yeah,
and with Buck.
Yeah, right. And so I mean they're pretty closer than I would like in this, and some of these are not just the absentee, but the early votes and some.
I got a feeling on Buck though.
I
Buck,
do too. I
you know,
mean,
look, if I had a stage name, it would be Buck Newton. Just saying.
Well, this is the second time Raymond's ran in that district, isn't it, for Senate? And he lost the last time, so.
yeah, so that
And
we're
that was
going
with-
through there. I'm sorry, my contacts are apparently drying out because I can't see what I want to. It looks like one of the races that we thought could be a toss-up is pulling away with out of Wake County. This is an open seat between Lisa Grafstein and Scott Lassiter. It looks like Lisa is ahead right now pretty substantially. We'll see if that holds up. That was one that I thought maybe it would be a bellwether to see what the Senate was going to do. Like,
Well,
if we
I had
go
been
30
watching that
plus
race because
3.
allegedly, according to a podcast from WRAL, which is always accurate,
Mm-hmm.
that I was very involved in that race, which had nothing to do
Nothing
with
to
that
do
race.
with that race.
But-
So we talked about the
but
Terrence
apparently-
Everett, who's running his campaign apparently out of a broom closet in the basement of the legislative building. He is ahead now with 13% of the vote in at 4,000 votes to Ashley Adams, which the Senate and Senate caucus is heavily invested into her race, so that's not looking our way. Now, I will say no one's going to talk about this race tonight, but I will tell you that there's a lady out of the out of the Fayetteville area named Simone Pemberton. She's the real deal. She may not win that race just because of election math, because so many Democrats there. This is a successful patriot, African-American woman, Black woman, just absolutely supportive. I've supported her, helped her along. Nothing is coming in right there, but I would love to see an upset there in Fayetteville because she is the real deal.
Well, and Fayetteville's an interesting place, right? Because every election cycle, they come into play.
Yeah.
They really do. So who knows what happens?
Well, because you have Diane Wheatley down there
Yeah.
and a few
Yeah.
others that it seems like it's always contentious in the House down there.
It is because you had John Zucker prior to Diane,
yeah.
and well, they served kind of simultaneously. The districts had to be redrawn because I don't know, somebody keeps suing us, but nevertheless, I mean that's an interesting area.
Yeah,
and so
well, it's just, I think the dynamic just shifts so much with the military and everything going on, and I one little thing happens and everybody's like, we hate so and so. I don't know, it's crazy.
Interesting. Decision HQ has Trump at a 73% chance of winning North Carolina right now, with about 15% in. So I'll take that projection over the opposite.
So I'm going to take that as an omen.
It's an omen. An omen. That tweet came out right for you, Jed. right for you.
Well, I'm lucky to know that I did not win the mail-ins, but I am eking out a little bit over my competition.
Are you starting to take the lead?
I mean, it's a little bit. I mean,
how about the phone-ins? Did you get the phone-ins?
Yeah, I got the phone-ins. Now, I will say that David picks on me a little bit because I remember winning a race against someone who's a very nice folks who's Democrat, and I got like 79.2% of the vote, and I was so mad that it didn't say 80.
Well,
I was like, wait a minute.
Well,
it was like 2% of bad decision, 1%
to the
that is
deficiency of the
shocking
candidate. That speaks to the deficiency.
So Jonah Kaplan, who used to cover for what was it, ABC 11 in North Carolina, he's now in like Minnesota, Michigan, somewhere like that. Jonah's a great reporter. I always loved Jonah just announced 18 months ago, North Carolina has elected its first Jewish governor. Which was a shock to most of the Democratic Party, by the way.
Who knew?
Well, they said from the river to
from the mountains to the sea.
Mountains to the sea. Yeah, I get it wrong.
Not that I would chant that.
So
I do not
the most
chant
shocked tonight are the Democratic voters who just elected their first Jewish governor.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Now, we did highlight the Michael Lee race down in New Hanover. The election day is not reporting. The early voting is not reporting. Absentee is. So we do have a lead for the Democrat challenger, David Hill, in the absentee voters against Michael Lee. But again, that's anybody's race, and it's going to be coming out. So,
also from Decision HQ, Republicans have a 97% chance to control the federal Senate. So that's good news.
Okay, well
that's the federal Senate.
That's the U.S. Congress.
Oh, no, yeah. Otherwise known as.
I like to clarify, given mixed company,
the U.S. Senate also?
That is also the U.S. Senate. But I like to say federal. I'm educated over here.
Yeah. And those House districts where Tricia and Krista and that's what, House districts 101, you said?
105, I think.
105. So I was looking through all of those to see where we are there. But again, we're talking about election results with only 17% of the vote that is reported out there, but it is good to see where we are because you can see those early voting results. And we continue to look at that Tricia Cotham race. Again, she is facing a challenger has the worst political picture in history.
They spent a bunch of money, though.
They spent over $1 million. Did you see that? They spent over $1 million aside on that race.
Paid for makeup.
None of it was for glamour shots. None of it was for glamour shots.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to shame another person for their political
we never
picture,
do that.
but
look,
I mean, come on. I mean, at least comb your hair.
They literally can make me look thin. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, at least comb your hair, right? I mean, that's...
Well, the unique thing about her is she is Jewish, but she didn't like the Jews in this particular race.
Well, there's that.
So go figure.
Yeah. So when we are talking about Tricia's race in there, it does look like they only are 24 posting the absentee by mail votes. Again, Democrats are winning that. Nicole Sidman has 2,600 votes, where Tricia Ann Cotham is only got 1,700. That's not really a pull. I mean, that's really not that far apart when you're talking about mail-in votes.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see. We're talking
Yeah.
a very small, 1,000 votes right now.
Yeah. So that is it. But again, these are very early results. We're sorry that
Well, we should warn everybody, right? It's just us talking and pontificating. It's all in fun. Right, so everybody's going to take every little thing we said and blow it up. Not that I ever do that to you, Jeff.
No.
But,
I mean, as the star is the 2024 gubernatorial.
Which no one can get better press than Jeff McNeely.
I
right?
know,
That's
right?
All I'm saying is we're just watching it like normal people. You can judge it if you want to. I don't care. I'm not running. You two are.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
So, interesting enough, I thought this Howard Hunter race was going to be a little bit different out of District 5 up there because, he's a known quantity, a known guy who'd been running. He's running as Bill Ward, but as of now, Howard Hunter is behind on the vote count.
Bill got a lot of help.
Well, Bill's got a lot of help. He's what was Bill, a state trooper?
No, he was like not a deputy sheriff, but he was in the sheriff.
So he's in law enforcement.
Yeah.
And
like second in command.
Chief
deputy.
Howard's had some issues. I mean, it turns out when you bury the wrong relative, people get a little upset about it, right?
Let's tell the story. Come on, we got a few minutes. So forgive me. Howard Hunter was a very popular
was allegedly very popular to me
until
he turned on me on Twitter, but whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, Howard. Back at you, buddy. But it turns out when you accept someone's deceased relative and you dress them up and then you bury the wrong person, it gets a little icky, right? I'm just saying. It turns out
happen.
It turns out to be an issue in campaigns.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, right? I mean, sometimes people actually do pay attention,
yeah,
particularly when it's their relatives. So there's that, right?
Yeah, I know. Now, one that we're all
Bill
watching.
Ward, the juggernaut. Bill
So
Ward.
one that we're all watching a little bit is this a freshman that came on the scene out of Wilson, North Carolina, named Ken Fontenot.
Ken's a good guy.
He is well spoken on the floor. He's got a unique perspective as a Black Republican from Wilson. He brought home tons of money. And you guys actually were really good to him because you brought him in on a lot of conversations.
Oh, Ken's great.
Yeah, like a teacher. He just had a different perspective like that we wanted.
Well, he represents his district very well, right? I mean, his first and foremost, he will come into the caucus, tell you, hey, guys, I love what you're doing, but my district's first, which should be everybody. I know you do it. I know you do it, but sometimes that's not the case in Raleigh. That's how he comes to Raleigh. He's like, I'll work with you on whatever it is you want to do, but I got to help my district first.
Right.
And that's Fontenot. That's what Fontenot does.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's actually no shock to me, except for that everybody said it's going to be a close race.
Yeah, right.
And he's got street cred. I mean, he really does. I mean, Ken's been there involved in it with youth and everything. And so when he gets up and talks about experiences on the street that he's seen and how these different bills that we're running is going to make a difference, then the Democrats go, well, crap. Now what are we going to talk about? Because he's done took all our street cred away from us.
Yeah,
you can't discredit him.
Right.
Because he does have street cred.
An amazing order on the floor. He just really speaks well. Another one that doesn't have a lot of results in yet, but you guys have been looking at that Frank Sossaman versus Brian Cohn race. And now, again, this is like the middle of the north end of North Carolina, right?
You can't get there from here, from the district.
No, you really can't to Granville and Vance.
Oxford and,
right. So that one looks like Brian is again ahead in absentee by ballot, but we are getting slow results from the.
I got faith in Frank. He did a good job for him representing them, and he got some money back for that district that they hadn't had in a long time.
Yeah.
So
he ain't sexy, but he's effective.
He is, and he's in the burial business. He'll pray and he'll bury and he'll do it all. And I think he's putting the right people in the right caskets.
Yeah.
That's helping him.
He's praying over the right people. Is what you say. Yeah.
So a little bit of good news here, real quick,
please.
on the states front. With about 19% or so reporting Josh Stein up 52-43 on Mark Robinson, but Hal Retherman up 50-46 on Rachel Hunt. So that's actually really good. Dan Bishop up 51-48 on
We're
Jeff
literally
Jackson.
the prognosticators of prognosticators.
We are.
Right
So the question, there were Dave Bullock up 52-44. Steve Troxler, obviously that was always always going to be one.
Yeah, you actually had to be a farmer to
Luke
be that.
Farley up 55-44. So what's interesting here here is you have all these precincts reporting with Josh Stein up fairly significantly, does not appeal, but with these same districts, you have Republicans
Yeah. Down ballot.
the
It's not
down
down
ballot. So there was a lot of concern that the controversy around Mark Robinson would
Yeah.
have down ballot implications for Council of State that so far does not seem to be bearing out.
Yeah.
So that's good news for Council of State.
Yeah, so that means that we do have some educated voters out there, which I'm very proud of because it's a nuanced approach to not just be supportive of Harris or Biden and,
Yeah.
and not just vote straight down. I mean, in North Carolina has a history of splitting our tickets. We've got
Yes.
some very very nuanced.
So real quick, I'll go
Yeah.
down it, right? So Bishop, 51-48.
That's good.
That's the AG's race. Bolick in the auditor's race, 52-44. Yeah. Troxler, 55-42.
Thank God.
Causey, 54-45. These are the Republicans. Farley, 55-44.
Thank God.
Chad Brown, 52-47. This is a race I told you we should watch,
Yeah.
along with the superintendent's race.
Oh, look.
So here's Morrow at
They're
52-47.
almost identical.
And then Briner, who's outperforming, which I expected.
Yeah.
Very good guy. And look, I like Wesley Harris. I serve with him. I'm not going to apologize for the fact that I just like a person because they're who they are. I like Wesley. He's a good dude. I know most of my caucus don't agree with me.
I do.
He's Outer County. I mean, he's from Outer County original.
But 55-44, Brad Briner is killing it right now.
Yeah.
We'll see how it plays out the rest of the night.
Right.
But these are the things I think we kind of expected. We're not just shooting in the dark here. We kind of know how voters are going to vote. Though I am surprised if this holds true for Chad Brown on Elaine Marshall, and I love Chad Brown. Chad Brown is a brother in the lodge. See, it can't cost him votes now. We're part of that little conspiracy, all that stuff. But he's a good friend, and I know how he served in Gaston County.
Right.
If Chad pulls this out tonight, I think that will be one of the upsets of the night.
Absolutely. 100%. That will be the upset because, I mean, you have a long-term incumbent. Again, remember, she won her race by going against Richard Petty back in the early 90s or late 80s.
You beat the king.
Yeah, and
Well,
beat the
until the king ran into somebody, Rubbins
on I-40. Yes.
Rubbins racing on I-40. I don't care what you say.
Oh, thank God.
Look,
Thank you.
I've done drafting on I-40. It happens. I bought a car from Jeff McNeely that drafts very well.
Peachy car, peachy.
But I think ultimately, at the end of the day, the only Council of State race Republicans are not leading right now is that governor's race.
Yeah.
And so
That's
like we said, the down
interesting.
ballot worries that were there don't seem to be material.
Has got to be 52-43 though.
Go
It's
with-
close.
If you're on the
That's
state
not
board
close.
if you're going to the
It's
state
closing.
Closer than what we thought.
It's not
closing.
if you're on the state board of elections,
That's
I
not
want
close.
if you're on the State Board of Elections website, I challenge you to go into the look at the view voter details, and you can look across about which counties are reporting. And what's surprising to me about the numbers you just reported is we have the MEC and the Forsyth and some of those heavy blue counties that are reporting, and those Council of State Republicans are still ahead.
See, I don't think we're that much of a purple state as they always say we are.
I agree.
When we offer quality candidates, and I'm not throwing shade on anybody that's ran before, but when we offer quality candidates like Briner, like Bolick, people, if they're paying attention, they go, "Oh my gosh, this person represents me. This person is going to do the things that I think are most important," and that's when we win. So it's really on us as Republicans, because we're all Republicans here, that we recruit the best of the best.
Amen.
Right, and make sure they get through a primary.
Amen.
That's the challenge for
That's
us.
the charge that we're going to have to do as Republicans and those who are elected Republicans. We have to get those Briners and those Bullocks and those Farleys, those guys who can make it through a primary and carry us to the finish line, because it is one thing to win a primary. It is something different to win a general.
Will Doran,
Yes.
you know,
He's a
Capitol
Republican,
reporter.
right. I mean, not Republican, reporter from.
Reporter, not a
Yeah,
Republican.
no.
Sort of question.
Not a Republican. Wife works for Robert Reeves, by the way. No one ever talks about that, but I will talk about it.
I did not know that.
Oh, here we go.
Huzzah.
All right. But he says with 20% of the votes counted, Republicans have narrow leads for all 4 statewide judicial races on the ballot, including a seat on the Supreme Court. Jefferson Griffin now leads Democrat incumbent Allison Riggs, 53-47.
Praise be.
Still too close
Still
to
young.
call.
Still
Again,
I just still young.
you guys want to throw arrows at me? I'm here and no longer elected. I'll give you all of it.
No,
Right?
no, yeah, no, it's
So,
great. I
just
love
saying,
it.
just
Yeah.
saying it. Hey, your wife works for Robert Reeves. Everyone should know that.
Yeah.
No one ever reports
Who
that.
is the minority leader of the House? I had no idea that was actually
I mean, we'll see what happens next.
We're thinking Pricey's been that for a while.
Well,
We
if he
just
gets
don't tell
well,
nobody.
she's the one that writes the checks, right? So you
She's
got to
the one
follow
who
the
gets to
money.
talk, too.
Follow the money. They always say follow the money on us. Follow the money on them.
Well, they ran Michael Ray off, and that was a lot of their money, so they had to find somebody. So, Price
So we
had to
got
step up.
just a couple minutes left on this election eve wrap up. And so we're going to wrap these thing up. I just want to say thank you all for being with us tonight. I think it was fabulous to hear. Thank you for those who are listening in and outside of Iredell and North Mecklenburg and Lincoln County. Also, continue to listen to us on WSIC. We are going to continue to bring this type of radio excellence to you each and every week.
Excellence.
But we provide a service that is missing. We provide a service for electeds to talk directly to people who understand what's inside the bubble and communicate what's happening to Raleigh to your kitchen table. This is a service that you can call us in real time and ask real questions about what we are doing, and we are held to record. On the record about what we want to say.
And that's recorded.
And that is why we wanted to bring this to you tonight, because there is not going to be another station out there that is going to give you the state elected House and Senate races like we broke it down for you tonight.
It's kind of fun.
What other station can get you on a commercial that's played over and over again for months and months and months?
Yeah.
No other than WSIC.
Yeah, always with a joke when I'm trying to make a point. But thank you so much for that. But guys, thank you, Representative Saine and Representative Jeff McNeely, and of course Preston, not Cornelius. I am Senator Vickie Sawyer, and David, you can bring us home.
Yeah, real quick before as we go out, we'll update the Iredell County numbers. Vickie, you're holding strong with about 68% of the vote.
I've got faith.
However, Jeff McNeely is outpacing you with 75% of the vote in his district.
Well, he should.
Well, I'm down to 68 now.
Okay, my fault. Gene Halp still up in the lead on the Iredell County Commissioner side, 26%. Melissa Nieder second, 25%. About 1,300 votes separate them. Scotty Brown third at 35,456. So that is where we stand right now in Iredell County. Guys, I want to tell you that you made my job easy tonight. Coming in, I was told I had to keep you on task and make sure that you didn't say anything too off the wall. And I think we marginally were successful at that.
We were close.
We were close. But
Horseshoes,
this was fun.
hand grenades.
Horseshoes and hand grenades. This was fun. Maybe we'll be back at it again in 2 years for the midterms. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Although we'll see how.
Of course,
that
we
works.
may have been called. We may be called into the big station by that point.
Yes.
I
think Newsmax is coming for us.
I agree.
I'm thinking
But Joe,
syndication.
we'll take you with us. And thank you to our producer and
Syndication.
engineer, Joe. He's been fantastic. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your week.
Peace out.
Go Trump.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9 100.7 WSIC, Statesville, Mooresville, North Charlotte.